David Etienne, your certified public accountant, host of the podcast Crossroads Navigating Business Challenges. Welcome once again. Now, I'm very excited today, but before I get into the reason behind my being so excited, reminding you to ensure to jump onto our website, Etienne Strategic Management, EtienneStrategicMC.com. Go to our social media platforms and ensure to subscribe, follow, like, whatever you do. But most importantly, ensure to join the conversation. It's all about the conversation. It is you being engaged with us in the conversation that will bring us into discovering those challenges and having discovered the challenges to craft the solutions that are going to address those challenges. So as I said earlier on, I'm very excited. I promised you that we're going to be looking at some very important issues and concepts, but not just from a theoretical perspective, but we're going to get individuals who I call the practitioners, the people who are walking the walk, talking the talk in real terms. And today I'm very honored that I have with me my first guest to look at a particular subject matter. And we're going to really explore and unearth a lot of details here. So I have with me today Miss Charlotte Kane. Miss Charlotte Kane. Welcome, Miss Kane. How are you today?
Oh, I'm well, and thank you for having me. Thank you
Wonderful.
so much. It's an honor.
Great. Well, you may have heard my introduction. I'm very excited because when I was put in contact with you, and I was privileged to look at some information having to do with your involvement, your background, etc., I recognized that, okay, Miss Kane is one busy woman with so many hats to wear. And so I sifted through and say, okay, with the limited time that we have, what are we to select for our discussions, because we would never be able to cover all that you would handle in one session. But of course, before we go into the specifics of today's discussion, I really want to investigate, explore, and share with my audience who Miss Kane is in terms of your overall engagement, your overall involvement. Okay, so Miss Kane, I'm gonna allow you to just tell me in a very concise way your total involvement in all the different things that you manage and that you handle, and then we'll zero in onto those specific areas that I want to elucidate on in our podcast this evening.
Well, most of it encompasses community, excuse me, community outreach.
Mhm.
And they always say do something that you love. And I do love reaching out to the community, working with youth and young people and the community in general. So, doing events that bring people together, that help them to understand what it is to take out that time to stop and smell the roses, to talk to each other. Social media is wonderful, but we still need to be in person as well. And also with our youth, learning is very different. Education is very different in the public schools. And there are so many things that people feel are missing from what used to be. And how do we navigate today with our youth and get information to them that they need? And so my youth worked, that began with that particular quest of wanting to be able to communicate with the young people, to hear what their issues are, and to offer solutions, and just to give them bits of wisdom, because I believe that young people should be able to interact with older people, with adults, with different age groups, and get wisdom from all those age groups, because sometimes there's a big separation and they feel like they're not understood. And then the older people feel like, well, what's going on with these kids today? And so just making that bridge come together with some of the work that I've done with youth, I really, really love that. With the community, I love doing the festivals and events and entertainment and health fairs and artistic opportunities for artists of all sorts of genres, just coming together and being happy.
Great, great, great. Obviously, obviously, in your involvement with the community, with youths, then you are a problem solver. Hands down, no question about it. You are a problem solver. But before I look at you pouring into these people, into these initiatives, let us talk a little bit about you as the individual entrepreneur. What is a driver for you? I know you have this innate love for what you do, etc. But I see, of course, that your earlier lives you were engaged in employed, employed activities. So in other words, you must have come a time that you decided, I really want to launch out and really do something entrepreneurial. Tell me about that drive, that spirit that put you in that direction.
Well, when you just kind of look back at your life and see what things you enjoy doing and what you like doing as you get experience. Um, Even when I was younger, I used to make up things and make up businesses. I know when I was in high school, they had a print shop and I had them make some business cards for me and had started a group. And so I've always had the entrepreneur spirit. And in working in corporate America, if I'm going to do a job, I'm going to do it as well as I can. And I'm going to treat the company and the job that I work for like it's my own with integrity. And I would get a lot of awards on jobs, and people would say, "Oh, wow, you're doing this and you're doing that." And I started thinking, what about if I did all of this just for myself?
Okay.
If I can do all of this for this corporation and they're impressed and they're, happy with my work, what about doing it for myself? So that's what sort of got me thinking about it. And I didn't just, I did a little test. I think I took like a 10-day vacation, 2 weeks from the last corporate job that I had. And I had been working towards a project. I started off with an artistic project, just sort of exploring and doing some things in the community through spoken word and music. And I took a vacation. I had made some contacts with some different people. I did a little bit of traveling and just tested the waters on a vacation, and it was wonderful. And when I got back from vacation, I decided to leave that job and just work for myself from then on. And so I really just took a chance. I took a chance.
That's right. Okay. Okay. Well, it goes without saying there must have been some amount of challenges, some amount of resistance from whatever angle, whether from in terms of resources, in terms of connections, but there must have been those challenges. Your earlier establishment, share with us a few of those that you can recall as being, those were some of my, the major obstacles I had to overcome. And then how did it happen for you?
Well, I mean, not having a weekly paycheck, knowing that you're going to get a certain amount of money, and the benefits and different things like that. Of course, that's always a concern. Keeping a roof over your head, keeping a car, you kind of rely on the paycheck, and you know what you're going to get. But when you are having to create that paycheck, that is definitely a challenge. And so you have to really be creative, make some sacrifices, for the greater good into the future, because it may not be the same type of lifestyle when you first start off. So there's going to be some sacrifices made, and you have to be willing to go through those sacrifices and keep pushing, because it really kind of makes you hungrier when you don't have that cushion and know that you're going to get that paycheck, sometimes that job can be a hindrance
Oh
sometimes,
yes.
because it's going to make you feel like, well, I don't want to leave this job. I know I'm going to get this money and I don't know what I would do. And when you really challenge yourself and you take that chance, you start to come up with different ideas and ways to do things. And so collaborations, um, being at a lot of places, talking with different people, being at different events, researching the area that you want to go into, and being in that right place, and the ethics and integrity play a major, major part. Being reliable. If you're going to start your own business and you're saying that you have a certain service, well, when people contact you, they want to know that they can get the services you're saying that you have.
That's all
So
right.
you have to deliver. You can't just talk about it. You've got to deliver. And when I had first started off with Charlotte's Web of Associates, when I first started off with that, and it was entertainment and producing and so forth, I had in my head what I wanted it to be. And so I wrote this beautiful thing about what I could do. And, we can book entertainment for you, any type of entertainment, and blah, blah, blah. And I got a phone call. My first call was someone who was having a wedding and they wanted to have a DJ at their wedding. So I'm, entertainment, providing entertainment. And they wanted a Spanish DJ
Oh my.
that could speak in Spanish
Okay.
and in English. Now, being prepared, as you prepare yourself for younger people, education is everything. Learning all that you can, the more that you know how to do, the better it is for you, especially if you're going to become an entrepreneur. And so I had studied Spanish and I was able to speak, Spanish with her a little. And, so I threw in a little Spanish talking and I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah, I can do that. And as soon as we hung the phone up, I start researching and looking for a
Okay.
Spanish DJ. And, I thought to myself, oh, there's a radio station and they play Latin music all the time. I'm going to call this radio station and I can get, and so and from there, from that connection, I met other people and, and it just started. It just kept going. And so whenever anyone would call for a particular service, I made sure that I was able to deliver that service. And then that started building the reputation. You call her, you ask for something, she delivers. So I think it's real important as entrepreneurs that we have the integrity, the reliability, and be able to deliver.
That's correct. That's correct. Now I hear the terms go getter. I hear, resilience, being creative. You have applied all those principles to your business development strategy. And then as you interact and intervene with other businesses that you are now helping, you have to impart the same virtues to them. Now, I can appreciate as a business person that when it comes to things like being creative, being very resilient, I know the virtue of those things. And so I practice those things for myself. When I'm speaking with a client, although I recognize that maybe what is missing with this client's operation is the very thing that I would want to pour into the person. Sometimes it is not that easy for us to transfer, as it were, these nuggets, these gems that we have tried and have proven to be success factors. How do you impart those gems that you know work to a client, to a customer, to say, hey, this is the way you need to proceed. These are the things you need to consider. Because what I find is that it may not be an intentional resistance by the client. It may not be intentional, but there's an element of resistance. How do you communicate that information?
Well, that's where that creativity comes in, by listening to the concerns of the client and seeing what that resistance might be and making that client comfortable and giving them some ideas that they may not have thought of, you know. And, what I find is that sometimes people, they just don't envision certain things because they haven't experienced it. But if you can help them to envision it, you know, whatever that concern might be, because you really do have to listen. You really have to listen to that person so that you can find out where their head is, and what the resistance might be, and then show them how to remove that particular obstacle. And when that light bulb pops in their head and they're like, oh, I never thought of that.
That's right.
That's a good idea. And then they're like, oh yeah, and then they do that. And the other thing is always making sure that the client is looking good. You want them to always look good. And even in the relationships and the collaborations, I know sometimes in business, people kind of, they're trying to grab at this and grab at that, and there's really enough for everyone. So having the attitude that there's enough for everyone and there's no need to try to grab and let me get mine, and because we're all going to be successful. So bringing everybody to that point to understand that there is enough for everyone and we can all win. It doesn't have to be one person winning. You don't have to step over another person to win.
Right.
There is enough for everyone, and showing them how that works, because some people can't conceive how there's enough. There's like, well, I'm going to get mine. You better get yours. That sort of attitude. Um, or it's nothing personal. It's just business, but it is personal.
It is personal.
And I just, yeah, it's business personal. And so, just different creative modes that I might take depending on that particular client and what's making them hesitant or what has that obstacle been for them, and
Gotcha.
finding a solution.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have today as our special guest, Miss Charlotte Kane, and she's sharing with us what you don't know that I like to call gems. One of my favorite words, gems, precious hints, bits and pieces, explaining to us how she has looked at and managed and overcome the challenges that all entrepreneurs do face, but more importantly, how to transfer those valuable bits of information and attitudes and aptitudes to our clientele to help them also navigate the various business challenges that they will face from time to time, I realized that looking, at the information I received, that you in 2001, you founded the annual event, the Stonecrest Fest in 2017 rather. You started your Charlotte's Web of Associates in 2001, and in
Yes.
2017 you founded the annual event. No, Stonecrest Fest, that thing has grown exponentially in a very short time based on my knowledge of it. You see, when I became aware of Stonecrest Fest, and then I've seen how it has evolved. What was the driver for you to consider an annual event of such nature?
Well, as I had started, Charlotte's Web of Associates in 2001, and, providing different things in entertainment and being a reliable person, and you start to get a reputation, because that's one thing that is very, very precious, is making sure that, you maintain a great reputation with your clients and being the person who delivers. And so that led to people actually seeking me out to do entertainment for the Sweet Auburn Spring Fest, which was a huge event that has been going on for many, many years. And so Charles Webb Associates managed that entertainment for them. And when Stonecrest decided to become a city in 2017, I thought to myself, why not do a Stonecrest Fest centered around the history of the city? You have Flat Rock Archives, which is a community that was
Yes,
founded
yes.
by a group of slaves. You have Arabian Mountain, the nature preserve, which has 400 million years of plant and water life. DeKalb County, in the area of Stonecrest, we have more green space than any other city. And it's all about nature, health, history, culture. And then you have the arts. And so I found that with doing the Stonecrest Fest, I could touch on all the different aspects that I love about community and people. That I could incorporate wellness, I could incorporate health, could incorporate art, entertainment, fun for the families to come out, education. All of those things are part of Stonecrest Fest. And that first year that I did it, I had a 7-day prelude to the festival, and the festival was the culminating event. And we had only been a city for 2 months. And the mayor and the council and different people were saying, well, look, we just became a city. Why don't you wait until 2018 to do a festival? And I said, no, this has to go right along with the city and start when we become a city. And they were like, well, that's going to be a lot to do. How are you going to have all these different events all throughout the city and, then do the festival? And I had the idea in my head, and everyone said it sounds good. But when they saw everything that I said actually come to fruition, the mayor says, well, you made a believer out of a lot of naysayers.
Okay.
And so you can have a lot of people saying, oh, that can't be done. But if you really have that vision in your head and you're willing to work and to do all that you can do to make those things happen, to overcome any challenge that you may have, you can do it.
You can do
You
it.
can do it. But you have to have that desire, and you have to have the resilience, and you have to be willing to keep moving.
You made a statement that resonates with it because throughout history, throughout history, all major developments, most major developments came about by someone stepping out and say, against all odds, this is the time. Against all odds, this is the way. You see, and initially you will have naysayers and disbelievers, but there's always that person. So as you mentioned about this festival, you thought it best to just dovetail it with the development of the city. That's another example for me, you see, of someone that is proactive, that is forward thinking, so to speak. Now, my next question is that was not meant to be a part of our little chit chat, but I'm curious, and you may choose not to answer. Are you going to contemplate public office sometime in the future?
Now you're about the third person that said that to
Oh,
me,
well, come
and
on. Why?
I
It's obvious.
I'm not a politician,
Not, oh, no,
but
you
I
only
mean I don't know
become
why people.
you
Mm,
only become a politician when you decide to run for the office. But you have the credence, you have the mantle, you the metal, whatever it is. I mean, I hear you speak, and I'm saying this is development speaking here. You see, I'm saying I'm using that saying. This is development speaking here. But hey, who to tell? We'll see what will happen in the coming months, 2 years, maybe. I'll be listening.
yeah, well,
I'll be listening. I'll be listening. Okay, great. But yes, Stonecrest Fest has really grown and it has really touched a wide cross section of neighborhoods and lives and and communities, definitely. The youth, hands down, a society that is not looking out for or addressing or creating opportunities or opening spaces for its youth is a community that is on its deathbed. Full stop. No question about that. But there are some significant challenges that all communities face when it comes to youth development. Yes, you hear people talk about youth development programs, and they will start certain activities that are expected of a city, that's expected of a county to do. But the development of youth programs in a meaningful way takes a special focus and a special stick to wittivity, my terms, okay, that you have to do. What are the challenges that you have experienced in really trying to develop sustainable youth programs? Because you and I know a lot of these programs pop up, they spend some time, there's a lot of ribbon cutting and a lot of you name it, and then you ask about it, and people, what are you talking about? So, how have you approached your youth development initiatives so that there's a sustainability that we hope will be there?
Well, any opportunity that I get to collaborate with entities and organizations to provide something for youth, I when I get a chance to be in front of young people, I do my best to engage them, no matter whether they're at a juvenile detention center, whether they're in a suburban neighborhood or um, public school, private school. You have different mindsets in different communities. Whether I'm dealing with children that have come to this country that may be immigrants, their parents are immigrants, and they're coming from various different countries with different cultures and different backgrounds. And so I sort of got a reputation as being a facilitator for youth programs, because what they do is they evaluate you, the children do. And the children, they will ask the children, how did you feel about this facilitator? How did you, what did you learn? And apparently, I've been getting some pretty flying colors. And so it has led to me being contracted with various counties to help them with their adolescents health and youth development departments to facilitate different programs, because when I deal with young people, I listen to them. A lot of times I see people doing things with youth, and they have this idea of what they're going to teach to them and how they're going to empower them and so forth and so on. Well, I sort of do the opposite thing. And I have no ability to empower any youth, but that youth can empower themselves with knowledge if they want to listen to what I have to share, and they can empower, I can empower myself with the knowledge if I listen to what they have to share. So
Correct.
it's an even exchange. So then you can hear the concern. You can make that youth feel very comfortable in wanting to share and talk with you and tell you the secrets of the youth, because there's a lot of secrets they keep amongst themselves, but they will share them with adults when they're comfortable. And just seeing what it is that they're interested in, letting them know that their voice matters and that we are concerned and that we want the best for them, and we want to listen to their dreams, and we want to help them navigate a successful life so that they can be happy, And so one of the things that I started through a Stonecrest Fest, which is a nonprofit organization, was the first Georgia Drone Soccer League. I started a drone soccer league because my logo for my teams is flying is like driving.
Okay.
Because if you imagine where we're headed towards technology, a lot of people wanted to drive a car when we were younger. But now it's going to be about flying, aviation, drones, space, and things of that nature. And especially when I look at serving the underserved communities, they don't get those sort of opportunities. And so one of the things that I've added to the Stonecrest Fest events, we've done young entrepreneurs where we've had kids start businesses and be vendors at the festival and sell their products. We've had young people who like to do poetry or who want to sing and entertainment, perform at the festival. Well, in 2022, we had a drone soccer game. And I started the league because the children get to build the drone soccer ball. It's a quadcopter that they use. They use software to program it, and they use a controller to bind it, and then they fly it with no GPS. So
Oh,
they are the pilots. And recently, we just got back from our national championships in Virginia, where there were 16 drone soccer teams from across the United States and one team from Istanbul in Turkey. And just to look at kids who think, one young man in particularly, when I showed it to him, he said he loved it, but he didn't want to be part of it. I says, why? He says, because I don't think I can build that.
oh wow.
Well, he's been on my team for 2 years now.
Okay.
He's one of my best players. So the first thing he'll tell you when you interview him, I built that, and so changing the way a young person thinks of themselves, letting them know when you talk about IP, people think about internet, internet protocol. But when I talk about IP with young people, I talk about their intellectual properties that they have in their mind. And their intellectual property is very, very valuable. And I let them know your IP is the most valuable thing you have. You can invest in it, and it resonates with them. And they think, wow, I've got IP. I have something important here. I have intellectual property, and I've got to protect it and I've got to feed it and letting them know how awesome they are, through whatever means, be it poetry classes that I might do with young people or little film productions where we do PSAs, to do outreach for peer educators, letting the child know that you are a peer educator. You're getting ready to learn some information that you can go out and share with other young people, letting them know how valuable they are
That's
and
right.
why it's so important to continue to invest in their IP.
Got you. Got you.
So, things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And you mentioned the term empowerment, and that's one of my favorite words too. Empowerment. Empowerment. Because at the end of the day, you're right. You can try to pour into another so much and no more, but there has to be a mind change, a mindset to say, okay, I can. That little train say, I think I can. I think I can. Getting them to think along that way. That's very good. Generally speaking, when it comes to community development on a broad scale now, individuals like yourselves, you're doing your part. And I assume that if we have enough of us doing our part in our neck of the woods, then collectively, cumulatively, we will have an impact. That's a fact. That's at the individual level.
Hmm.
On a community-wide level, and when I say community-wide level now, I'm really thinking of community leaders from a city, state, county perspective. What are some of the major challenges that you see being faced by cities, state? We all know about financial constraints, etc. But are there some fundamental obstacles that just need a rethinking to be able to overcome?
Well, I mean, just listening to each other because you're not going to please everybody.
That's right.
I mean, that's impossible. And so there's always going to be people who are going to voice something different. But all of those voices are important. Some people go, oh, well, you're just against this and you're against that. But whether you're for or against, all of those voices are important. And you're not going to be able to please the for and the against on every aspect that they're for or every aspect that they're against. But finding that happy medium, you know, um, the problems are, I think, is when you're not listening to the community,
Yes.
when you're not listening. because like I said, you have to listen to the for and you have to listen to the against. You've got to listen to both of those.
Right.
And being out there with the people, not just at election time, but all through the year. Not just popping up when it's time for an election,
Mm-hmm.
but just being there throughout the year. No one can be everywhere for everyone, but then you start to build a team of like-minded people. Support is everything. Being willing to support, being able to support in the way that you can. And
Guys.
a lot of people want to support. A lot of people want to help. A lot of people want to come together. This world is a lot better than they try to say on social media. There's a lot of great and good people out there who want to see things happen, good things happen, but they don't know what part they can play. So getting to meet the people and seeing what part can they play. The young, the old, the middle age, the young men, the young women, all different age groups have a part that they can play. And when you feel like you are a part of something, then you're invested. So giving people a part, giving each person a part in the community and they feel invested, that's what brings communities together. That's what makes things happen.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Well, Miss King, one of the things that we do on this program, when we get valuable information like this, we always, of course, it will be shared through our podcast, but we always like to give our listeners the way to make contact. So, spare me a couple of minutes. I need you, my listeners. You hear, Miss King, you hear what we're talking about. You hear the importance and significance. So our website is stonecrestfest.com. Stonecrestfest.com. And you can send an email to further this discussion, to ask questions, to engage her, to be involved at CEO. Yeah, we all know a CEO. She is the CEO. CEO at stonecrestfest.com. CEO at stonecrestfest.com. Website stonecrestfest.com. Ensure
Yeah.
to jump on and engage. Wonderful, wonderful discussion. But before I let you go, I know you're going to be doing a lot more or continue to do more of what you're currently doing. There's no question about that. But the question still is, what's new on the horizon? And why I'm asking this question is when I look at the profile, I'm saying, this lady can't be satisfied. She can't rest. She just get very uneasy when she have a moment of rest. She has to be on to another thing, and she just, what's next on the horizon?
Well, I mean, of course, the Stonecrest Fest is coming up on October 5th. It's the first Saturday of October. But
Uh-huh.
we are going to have some pre-events. We're going to have a fest walk, um, which will be a walking event. There's no registration fees or anything. It's just come on down and we're going to walk from retail to nature. We're planning a car and bike show. And then we're also planning a chalk art walk where we're inviting chalk artists to come out and we're going to be doing art along the nature path.
Oh,
We're going to be doing a sunset stroll and concerts on top of Arabia Mountain. You know, um, of course, we're going to be doing some drone soccer tournaments, and we are actually recruiting young people ages 12, middle school and high school, 12 and older, for the Georgia Arrows drone soccer team.
hmm.
So we would love to hear from some young people that you don't have to be physically fit. It's not the type of sport where you got to run or, have any particular strength. Just be able to work your hands and fly the drone soccer ball, and we'll do the rest. And we are going to be recruiting for some new team members for Georgia Arrows because we've got a couple of them that are graduating and going off to college. So that's making room for some more. And we're going to be doing something historical as well, but that's not completely formulated yet, so I don't want to mention it until the
Okay,
plans
great,
are out there.
great, great.
But they will be able to go onto stonecrestfest.com, and once it's confirmed, it will go up on the website.
Perfect, 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 perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, you hear it. Words to live by, words to grow by, words to excel by. This is Crossroads, navigating business challenges. Our guest, Miss Charlotte Kane, sharing with us words of wisdom. Thank you so much, Miss Kane. Thank you so, so very much. I know there's so much more that we could speak on this afternoon, but I know that in the coming months, etc., as we cover the different areas, that we'll be back here discussing and talking about some of the things, new stuff, additional stuff that you're going to into, and at the end of the day, empowering our listeners to be better business persons for those who are in business, better individuals as community leaders, as husbands, as wives, as leaders, as managers, because that's what we're all about. Navigating business challenges. Thank you very, very much, Ms. Charlotte Kane. And that's it this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, for our podcast. And remember, you saw the website and the email, okay? And so I just repeat, it was streaming at the bottom of your screen, but it is stonecrestfest.com. That's the website. And also, you can send an email at ceo@stonecrestfest.com. Streaming at the bottom of your screen. So thank you very much for joining me, and have a wonderful rest of the afternoon, Miss Kane.
Thank you so much for having me. I've definitely enjoyed it.
Okay, pleasure was mine. Okay, bye.
Bye bye.